Hello there, comic book fans. I'm back here on my normal Thursday night for another video to show you off what comic books I got on my pull list this week. And this week, it was a 5 comic book week for me. I actually pulled something off the shelf this week. I got a DC comic for the first time in I don't know how long. See if you can guess which one it is. It's old school, so you can probably guess. But first we'll start off with The Fade Out, number 12. This is the last issue of The Fade Out. We learn the fate of our hero who's trying to figure out who killed someone. I don't want to give up. I don't want to show off too much, but look at that. Beautiful, beautiful art. Unless this is your first video with me, you've heard me sing the praises of Sean Phillips and Ed Brubaker before, because I like just about everything they do, and whatever their next project is for Image, I'm going to be on board with it. Matter of fact, I think they've got a 10th anniversary edition of Criminal coming out in April. I think that's they're going to have a magazine-sized one of that too. But we'll see if they announce their new series at the end of this issue, and because I'll be on board with that one too. The Fade Out. Buy anything these two guys do. And speaking of a comic I'm on board with, it's David Lapham and Stray Bullets. I think this is another sort of fantasy issue, if I remember right, from the next issue blurb. No, it looks like, oh no, it looks like every now and then they do these strange fantasy issues of our lead character. There's our lead character, but she's really tiny this time. And as a small child, and they're kind of allegories for what's going on in the overall crime comic main story. Stray Bullets is just a fun romp. If your idea of fun is watching criminals get into trouble and have bad endings. But I've been on board with Stray Bullets for a long time, and get yourself some sunshine and roses. And next we have The Saint, Just Saints, issue number 4. And you know what? Along with this and Paper Girls, I'm glad I have these two. I can remember when they first came out, it took me a couple issues to decide to get them on my pull list. Saints is about all these old Catholic saints being reincarnated, and some of them are being hunted down and killed, and they all have superpowers. But if I didn't have Paper Girls and Saints on my list, I'd have no comics for this first week of the month, because I think for the last 2 or 3 weeks I've only had 2 comics this first week. But with Saints and Paper Girls, it adds up to 4 at least. Beats 2. And speaking of Paper Girls, here's Paper Girls number 4. There she is with her field hockey stick. I guess she's bashing somebody with her field hockey stick. But like I said, I was a little iffy with Paper Girls at first, but the second issue sold me on it. And the third issue had a final panel that was so dumb that I had to see what was next. But it's a story about Paper Girls who are caught up in, I don't know how to describe this one. They're caught up in an alien invasion or something, but Cliff Chang artwork. How could his name fly out of my mouth? Brian K. Vaughan is the writer. Imagine that. I can't remember Brian K. Vaughan's name. He's not too famous. There's our gang of intrepid Paper Girls trying to survive. I think one of them got shot last issue, and they have to get her to the hospital, and there's something with interdimensional beings or beings from the future. They could be humans from the future. They could be aliens. They could be another dimensional whatevers. We don't know what's going on in this book yet. But so far, like I said, I found the first issue a little iffy, and I've liked it ever since. I'm glad I stuck with it, because now I got a book to read this week. And finally, take a look at this. A DC comic. I haven't picked up one of these in a long, long time, but it's Len Wein and Kelly Jones doing Swamp Thing, so I figured, you know what, I want to see what they're doing with it. And it was a $2.99 book, so I must say, if it was a $3.99 book, I might have skipped it. But since it's a $2.99 book, oh, Lucifer, hot as hell. That's an ad. I'm not used to comics with ads in the middle anymore. The Phantom Stranger. Man, I haven't bought anything by Kelly Jones in a long, long time. Matter of fact, I don't know if I ever bought anything with any regularity by Kelly Jones, because I don't think I bought his. Of course, I bought a lot of Len Wein stuff in my youth when he was writing a lot of Marvel and DC comics in the '70s and '80s. But Kelly Jones was more the late '80s and '90s when I was kind of not buying a lot of DC comics. So, but I always kind of like, he's got that Bernie Wrightson-esque style. It's kind of his own, though he's not. He's developed into his own weird style, but I like it, so I figured I'd give this one a try and see what they come up with. It's only, if I like this, I'll put the whole mini on my pull list. If not, we'll just have this one nice issue. And before I go, I wanted to say a little word about Bacchus, Volume 1, which I got on my Christmas. You can see that on my Christmas pull list. I'm a good ways into it. I think that's the first 2 trades or whatever that this collects. It's a huge, thick book. And I must say, I am really impressed by Bacchus. It reads really well all at once, because I read bits and pieces of this in the 90s, because it used to show up here and there. I read a bunch of it in Dark Horse Presents. It was in other anthologies. It was in a couple miniseries, and I never really read it from back to front, so it was I was always coming in the middle with it, and I enjoyed it. Like the Dark Horse Presents stuff was especially good. I think that was the Eyeball Kid versus somebody. But in finally getting to sit down and read it from the beginning straight on through, I have to say it works really, really well. It's a nice story. It's about Bacchus is the ancient Roman god of wine, I think, and the basic story is turns out immortality isn't forever. So a lot of the old Greek and Roman gods have died in the last few hundred years or whenever it was, and a lot of the ones like Bacchus who are still around are, they know their days are numbered. And as I think there's a quote in here that says there's a lot of dead-eyed gods looking to settle old scores. So that's kind of what it is. It's part gangster story. One of the guys in here is a gangster. Then there's the Eyeball Kid, who's kind of the most powerful guy in the universe because he stole Zeus's thunderbolts, and he's just a wild card, and Bacchus is trying to figure out what to do. There's a quote in here from Eddie Campbell that says something about he wanted to kind of make fun of long, epic stories and how improbable they were while having one. So, and he didn't really know what that meant at the beginning, but he's making an interesting sort of long, epic story of these gods, and it flashes back to how some of them died and lived in ancient times and what they're doing now. And I have to say, it's a really, really good story. It fits all together a lot better than I thought it was gonna when I had just read bits and pieces of it. But anyway, give Bacchus a read if you're interested. And finally, we'll give you a look at a little artwork. These are my street photos. Whoops, knocked into the tripod. These are my New York City street photos that I take and add a little line to, and do some work in Photoshop on them, where I have my filter recipes that I use to give them texture and change the color. Here I wait, because I know you'll be by. This is an old picture. I think that's from 2004. I originally took that picture at a concert in Bryant Park. And this one, I think this is just from recent years, one of the New York City street scenes that I take. And so step by step the days go by. Look at that, there's a little street sign, walking man, right in the caption. But this is one of the things I like to do with my photography, is create these sort of colorful, not quite art, not quite photos, digital manipulations. And, I love words and pictures together, as is evident by my love of comics. But I also like words and pictures together in one static image. So there's just a little look at some of my street photography. And you guys have a good week.